Hi, I'm Carol Rowland. I own a travel business, recessforgrownups.com.
Tell us about your business situation before Boldheart.
Well, my background was industrial engineering from Georgia Tech, and I went to work at IBM in technical sales and ultimately management. And being in management, I saw the dirty underbelly and wanted to have an escape plan. So I started my travel business with a plan to ultimately leave, and did very well while I was working it part-time. It was actually incredibly efficient because I had to make it fit in a short time, and had very good success with group trips. I specialize in customized group travel and then also do individualized trips for high-end and luxury. But I had 200 people take the first group trip I did, which was a huge deal. Like, I didn't even know how big a huge deal it was. But I actually laid myself off from IBM because we had to do a layoff, so I put my name on the list. And I was excited because I did it a year early, but it was like once I had all of the time to work on my business, I got very stuck. Like, I was getting into too much of the minutia, and I was successful. Like, I had very good groups, but it would be up and down, like one really good group this year and then maybe a little something next year. And I mean, it's filling in with the individual stuff, but I would just kind of sat there at the same level, you know. And
For how long?
For 3-4 years. And
same plateau?
Yeah, just kind of the same plateau. Well, a little dip in the plateau, and then, yeah. So never really busted through after I left IBM, which is a little stupid, but.
No, nothing stupid. It just is what it is.
It was,
yeah.
Yes.
And so, why Boldheart? What did you see that made you think, like, maybe the Boldheart business program could be something for me?
Well, I wasn't actually interested in the the Boldheart business program. I was in another coaching program, a travel-specific program, but I had a friend that was in Boldheart who invited me to the mindset. So because I had come from sales, even though I'm very technical and very logical, I did all the Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy stuff years ago. So I knew about the mindset, and I'd been doing a lot of work with that. So I was interested. And when I came, I just came to do the mindset retreat, and really was sitting in the audience in a fairly pissed off mood most of the time because you made us stay up late in the room.
Yeah.
And so I would vacillate from being really into the exercises and then highly annoyed, and you know, and I had this arrogance about myself, and just like, okay, when's this thing gonna be over? But when you started talking about the program, what I did not have in that other coaching program that I was in was any structure. It was really good with mindset, and you could ask your questions, but there was no structure. And I knew exactly what I needed. I needed to build a team. I needed to have systems. I needed to have a plan to get where I wanted to go, and I didn't have that. And you talked about the Boldheart program, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I need. I'm doing it.
Yeah. What are the aspects of the program that really help you? What do you enjoy? The meetings, the curriculum, the accountability, the implementation sessions, the pods?
All of the above. But I mean, the meetings, it's a priority on my calendar. I mean, unless I'm out of the country with one of my big groups, I am at the meetings. If I'm in the country, I'm on the Q&A calls, whether I have a question or not, because I listen to everybody else's questions, and they always have something relevant that's going to help me. I get so much out of that. My pod, we have the most awesome pod. I mean, like, we are very bonded. And the community piece is so important. The AB buddy, like, I'm very
accountability
committed.
buddy.
Oh, the accountability buddy. Like, that is something that you just have to do. That is very critical, because that's your daily, like, keeping this going. And I think that was one of the things that has made a difference, is the fact that it's all, like, the support is always here every single day.
Yeah. What we've noticed is that, so Carol is a little bit different. You're like an engineer, so you're like rather, you do the thing.
Analytical,
Yeah.
logical, yes.
But even
That's me.
somebody like you, we create so much structure for your nature that it's annual and quarterly and monthly and weekly and daily. There is never, like hourly, there's never a day, never an hour where if you want structure, you can't get it. You always have structure. There's always implementation time. It's really, I would like to say, rather phenomenal. I wish I'd had that. Yeah. What's happened in your business, Carol?
Oh my God, I am kicking ass. I am so excited. I will tell you, it took me a while. I had some opportunity, very into the whole overwhelm, so much to do, I couldn't get to opportunities. Like, I could see opportunities out there and I couldn't get there. But coming to the different sessions and working on team and having a structure of how I hire people and interview them, and even though I was following the structure, I still didn't get it right, and I hired some people and I had to fire them and all that. But then we did systems, and I started documenting all the systems and various things. I was laying the groundwork, not perfectly, but I was putting some things out there. At the beginning of this year, I had a medical situation where, I will say, like last year at Mindset, like, I left here and I set some bigger goals, like what I considered stretch goals. And by the way, I'll say, in the travel business is a little different, because like when I have a group trip, it's usually a year to a year and a half out. So I am doing a ton of work right now. I don't get my money for a year and a half. So when I came to Mindset last year, I had one group trip on the books for this year, and that was it. And so I set some pretty aggressive sales goals for myself, because it's like, I've just got to start filling this funnel, because if I can get the funnel full, the money is going to be out there. And I set some aggressive goals at Mindset, and then in January we did another year's setting thing, and I raised them even higher. And I was laying the groundwork, and then I had a medical situation come up that I was going to have to take 2 months off to recover from surgery. And I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to get a rest before I have a crazy great year. And I just looked at it like, I'm going to honor my recovery, and I'm going to honor my goals, and this is going to be fabulous. And it has just flowed in such an awesome way, because at the June meeting, one of the assignments was like to lay out your year and how are you going to make your money, like really lay out the plans. And in the past, so this is travel sales, but my best year in travel sales was probably around $750,000. Because I do customized trips, I've got really good profit margins. But again, it was that whole plateau thing. But I laid out the plan with the opportunities I had, and it's like, holy crump. Like, I have got so much on my plate if I just go after it, but I cannot do it all by myself. And in 2 months, I hired a general manager, I hired an assistant, I hired a gal to do part-time projects for me, I hired a social media person, and now I'm in the stages of training them so that I can get all this stuff off my plate. So this year, I was off for 2 months for my surgery. I went to Tahiti. I was 2.5 weeks on a cruise in Portugal, Spain, and France. 2.5 weeks on a Japan cruise. Last month I was in Ireland. And in July, I hit the sales level that my best sales level I passed it from all the previous years, and I'll finish this year at 1.2 million in sales.
It's good here.
It's very good. Yes. No, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, like, there is the mindset. Like, the people that I hired, for logical people, like, I manifested them. Like, I got manifesting stories like crazy. So it's not just the logic stuff. You got to have the mindset, and you have to have the structure. You've got to have both.
Yeah.
And I get fed here with everything that I need to be able to continue to move forward.
Great job. Great job. Give her a hand, everybody.